It's been an incredibly tough month. In fact, it's been an incredibly tough year for both me and Bee. But I just want to say thank you to everybody who has supported us through this time. I remember sitting in class when I was at school, being told that my dreams and aspirations wouldn't be achievable. I'm autistic, and these narrow-minded people believe that what I could achieve was capped because of that, because I had learning difficulties, because I had to have speech therapy to learn how to talk properly. But here I am now talking to you guys, and to be honest, I'm super proud of myself and everything that I've achieved. This beautiful house behind me, this wonderful property that I'm standing on. I'm so grateful for everything that I have. But I'm also very proud of myself, and I'll happily say that it's been a long road to get here. I've had to shit in a bucket for 10 years. I've had numerous amounts of things that I've had to cut out of my life to be able to stand where I am right now. It's never an easy road to achieve your dreams, but here I am, standing on my dream property. And the crazy thing is, this is just the beginning. So I'm now just heading to the bottom of the property, right to the start, so I can give you guys a little tour around and show you some of the areas that were most affected by the fire. So as I mentioned previously, this property is pretty big. We're talking 57 acres. So as you can imagine, it's very difficult to get around on foot. And if you were just to walk around all of the property, you'd be here all day. So that is why I brought the UTV over as soon as possible, just so that we could get around and help with fixing this place up and repairing some of the damage. So we're not currently living at this property, and we never have. It's going to be a while before we can actually move in here due to all of the cleanup. We also haven't got any electric or water going to the house due to the fire, so that needs to be rectified first. One of the things we really need to get sorted before we move here is all of the infrastructure for our animals, our chickens and our goats. They need a safe place to be, and unfortunately a lot of the fencing on this property was burnt during the fire. One of the things that I'm incredibly excited about this place is the sheer amount of space our animals are going to have to graze and free range. It's going to be so amazing for them just to go wherever they like once it's fenced. You've got this whole area up here, a massive great field, and this is going to all be for the goats, as well as other sections of the property as well. You can see down here, this was an olive grove, and there was kilometers and kilometers of irrigation pipe for the bottom half of the property. Every tree had irrigation to it, but unfortunately that has melted. But these are quite established olive trees, as you can see here. They're quite hardy trees, so there's every chance that possibly these olive trees might come back, which would be really good. And I'm sure the goats would appreciate them. They love grazing on the olives. But you can see there's just so much space here for the animals just to free roam and explore at their leisure. So just to clarify, I am actually filming this video 1 month after the fire actually happened, and already the land has started to look slightly different, which is really positive. And one thing we won't be doing is making any rash decisions like cutting down whole trees and digging up root systems. We're going to leave it for a year. There are a lot of trees that are completely dead, that's for sure, but there's also a lot of trees that are going to survive, and that's really exciting. So we're going to leave it for a full year and see what happens, and hopefully we will be pleasantly surprised on what grows back. What's really changed the look of this place and made it feel like it's autumn is the leaves. We've had a big storm, we've had flooding, and obviously before that we had the fire. And I've just spotted down here, actually, you can see this is what the leaves should be like, and they should still be on the trees, but you can see the fire damage that has been caused to the leaf, and they've basically gone all brittle and fallen off the trees. But what that's actually doing is it's covering up all of the ash and the fire damage that was left on the floor. So it's actually quite nice. It's nicer to look at now than just a whole black landscape. So one of the positive things about the leaves falling off the trees is that the ground is already covered in a layer of ash, which is really good at regenerating the soil. So what I think is going to happen is the leaves are going to fall on top of the ground, creating a natural mulch, which is going to retain the moisture in the soil, allowing for when we get more rain, some really nice lush grass to grow through, which is incredibly exciting. As you can see, our electric gates have had better days, and this is where the fire actually entered the property, right at the front, and you can see the wiring is no longer, it's completely melted, completely burnt. So I definitely need to get an electrician in to sort that out. I'm just walking through one of the many fruit orchards that we've got here that was hit really bad. You can see how crispy the leaves look and the trunks are burnt. But I'm positive that they'll come back, hopefully, because we've got such a vast variety of fruit here. Being on the side of a mountain, we have a lot of water on this property, and that's evident. It really is. So that's going to really help with things being able to regrow. One of the things I am noticing as I'm walking around is the smell. The smell of the ash is actually quite strong and chokes you up a little bit. But I think the more rain we get, the more that will help to subside. I'm so excited. I've just stumbled across this massive fig tree that is perfectly fine. You can just see everything's burnt around it, but there's figs on this tree. The leaves are still green. That's absolutely amazing. I'm gonna have to try one. That's really cheered me up, actually, and I've got a fig right here, so I'm gonna try it right now. Feels ripe. That's actually really good. We still have figs.
Are you thinking of starting a website? Then check out Squarespace. If you don't know what Squarespace is, it's a brilliant online platform where you can build and design your very own website without any experience necessary. With Squarespace, you're in complete control of your own website, giving you access to absolutely everything with the option to change it whenever you need. There's loads of different templates to choose from, which are all completely customizable to you, and you're able to add a host of different features on there which suit the website that you want to build. Extensions bring your website to the next level by streamlining your workflow. Whether you've got an e-commerce business, have a blog, or use your website to grow your online business, there's extensions to help you with that. If you'd like to give Squarespace a try and build your very own professional looking website, then head to squarespace.com/indieprojects for a 2-week free trial and 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain.
So you can see on this bottom terrace that there's all these stones that have washed up, and there's loads of sand and silt that's been washed down from the top of the mountainside. And what generally can happen is when there's a fire, the rain comes, and we did have some bad flooding in this area. Unfortunately, what happens is the ground is so dry that the water hits it and can't sink into the ground, so it finds its way down. And obviously with all the fire damage, it means that all of the areas where naturally maybe the water would flow usually has changed its path, and you can see the water flowing down here, and all of this debris that has washed up. It's actually quite crazy to see because none of this was here, and you can see the force of the water because some of the sizes of the stones that have been washed down are actually really big. There's my foot for comparison. I just want to take a minute to appreciate how beautiful this area is. The water's flowing and you can see how deep this silt is. My feet just disappearing into it. This is all fresh. This was never here before, but it's obviously washed down from the mountainside further up the land. But look at that. We've got the cleanest spring water running down the valley. Just beautiful. So we've got about 6 or 7 of these massive terraces at the bottom of the property. Brilliant for growing olive trees or fruit. That was what they originally had on them until the fire came through. Hopefully some of them will regenerate, but you can see to the left of me there's a really big ditch, and this is using almost like a permaculture principle of swales, where the water is held on the property, on the land, and then it bleeds out slowly into the earth. So you're trying to maintain as much water as you can, because this is where you're growing all your veggies and your fruit, and it really does do a good job. This place was designed very, very well. So this is the pump house right here that survived the fire. Some of the roof beams got a little bit charred, but luckily didn't go up in flames. And this would have ran all of the irrigation lines. As I said, there's kilometers and kilometers of irrigation on this property, or there was. And if I go around this side, you'll see the fire came from the other side. Just step over here and you can see the holding tank here has completely melted, and all of the pipe work going into the pump house. So this is going to be quite an extensive job getting this back up and running. So let's have a look inside the pump house. So I open the door, the first thing you see is this here. So this is all the electrics for the pump, all of the switches, fuse board, that type of thing. It's got a light up there, and then over here you can see all of the pumps and the filters that were to run all of the irrigation lines. So I think there's probably about 3 or 4 pumps in here, and you got another one up there. So eventually I need to work out and fix and learn how all of this works. I'm not going to be able to show you guys absolutely everything today, but over time you will see it. The reason for that is it's just so big, and there's trees falling over the roads up into the mountain and stuff like that. So I'm going to hike up there in a bit to show you what's going on up there, but I can only get so far and into so many locations. But over time you'll get to see the real beauty of this place. I'm incredibly grateful that the garage survived the fire. It was a close call for sure. The fire came right up to it, but it did survive. And the reason I'm so happy about that is because this is going to be the HQ of the property. This is where I'm going to be able to build everything, store my tools and work out of. You can see here on this wall, the fire came right up to here and actually singed the wall there, as you can see. It's even cracked the window, so I have to put a new window pane in there, but that shouldn't be difficult. It also burned all the way around the outside of the back. You can't really tell too much at the moment because of all the leaves that have fallen, but right there is the electrics that come out of the garage and run down into the ground up to the house. And some of the pipe work is melted, but I'm hopeful that the actual wires are okay. So as a lot of you guys probably already know, I don't like to sit still. I love to have a project. That is why we're called the Indie Projects. And one of the big selling points for this place was the fact that it had a fully functional house that we could live in, but not only that, it had another house that needed restoring, a beautiful old stone house, and this place got hit really hard in the fire. Where this old stone house is situated is such a beautiful area on the property. You can see here there's some branches that have completely burnt and snapped off, but if I continue on, you'll just see how incredible this old stone house is. I really love stone houses, especially how they were built, all of them years ago, and the history behind them. It's got two really big sized barns onto the side of them that structurally are in a very bad way, so I've got a big job ahead of me here and a very big project. But I just love the symmetry and the style of this house. I think it could make such a beautiful home. And if I walk through this massive door, which would have been one of the main areas in the house, you can see some of the destruction the fires left behind. We lost quite a few tools in here. You can see a wheelbarrow, cement mixer, strimmer, all sorts of things. But it's in a bad way. And like I said, structurally over here, this wall looks as if it's been pushed out. Basically what happens is you have the ridge beam, and when it snaps, it pushes the joists out into the wall, and that can separate the wall. So I need to come back with some tools that I can actually assess the damage properly in here. You can see all the old corrugated roofing, and there's some up there just hanging on for dear life. One thing that has happened from the fire being so strong and fierce and burning so hot is, you can see here, it's actually cracked some of the important stones. I'm confident that I can fix that. Obviously it's just going to be a lot of work, and there's a lot of debris to clean out here, but I'm very positive this could make a really beautiful house. So walking up the stairs to the second part of the property, you can just see more destruction, basically all of the corrugated roofing. But what's really annoying is all of this scaffolding now is completely useless. It's completely decimated by the fire. The windows and the doors are just completely smashed and burnt to a crisp. But I do really... Whoa, okay, that's not safe. A little bit just came off there. I don't know if that was mortar or stone, but what I was saying is I do believe this building could be absolutely beautiful when it's restored. So one thing I never thought I'd own in my lifetime is a crane, but I now own one, which is pretty cool, and I really want to restore it and get it working because it'll be really useful for when I come to renovate the old stone house. So here it is in all its glory. It's currently got an orange tree growing through it. It actually doesn't look in bad condition. It did get hit by the fire, as you can see here. This all burnt around it, but it doesn't look, because it's metal, it doesn't look like it is damaged that much in the main areas. Obviously I need to get a new tire down here because that completely burnt off, but that's minor. So if anybody knows how to use or restore one of these cranes, send me an email, because you might have some information that could really help on getting this thing back up and working. So we've only seen a small section of the bottom of the property so far. and I'm already completely knackered, so I'm going to drive further up and show you some more stuff in the middle sections and at the top of the property. You can see here to the left and to the right and straight on, it's all just completely burnt. Luckily we have this really good road running through the property that is nice and easy to drive along. You can see to the right there, that's our cherry orchard, and then to the left we have a forest that pretty much every tree is obliterated in, but you never know, some of them might come back. So I'm just walking through the five-a-side football pitch, and one thing I forgot to mention, this morning when I arrived here I saw a couple of deer, which is really positive because I've not seen a deer on the land since the fire happened, so that's really good. I can't even imagine all of the animals that lost their lives in that fire. It's just, yeah, it's just horrible to even think about it, but hopefully we can create a habitat for the animals and we can all live in unison on this land. The woodshed's completely gone. It's completely just turned to dust. All that's left really is a couple of burnt roof timbers and the corrugated iron roof sheeting that I might be able to reuse for something. What it did is it created fuel for the fire, which then set fire to all of these trees across here. So not very good, but a good excuse to build a new log store. So I'm just walking along the road that goes around the lake, and as you can see, since we had the flooding and all of that rain, you can see that there's now water in the lake, which is really cool. And maybe all of the ash from the debris that burnt in the lake will be good for the water and make it cleaner. Once I actually let the water flow into the lake, it's shut off at the moment. And if you guys would like to see a tour of the inside of the house, just let me know in the comments and I can try and get that filmed shortly. One of the sections that got burnt really badly in the fire was the island in the middle of the lake. So I'm just walking across the bridge right now and all of the trees are decimated. I don't think any of these trees are going to regrow. So this island is actually where we're considering keeping the chickens, because we think it could be a really safe environment for them. Unfortunately, I think all of these trees are going to have to come down because they've just been burnt so badly. I just can't see them coming back to life, but you never know. Like I said, we're going to give it a year and see if they come back. You can see here the lighting is just completely melted. There was actually some chicken and rabbit hutches that are completely gone. And Bee had put a plastic chair to just have a view over the lake. A really nice spot to just sit, hang out and chill, and you can actually see the melted chair imprinted in the ground. It's pretty wild to think that this was just completely green and almost no sunlight would get on here, and now it's just black. On the positive side of things though, maybe I can clear some of these trees and build a really nice tiny house, boat house, with some decking that goes down onto the lake, onto a pontoon where we can moor up a boat, because we do actually have a ramp that goes down into the water where you can launch boats into this lake. It's more than big enough. One of the dreams that I've been coming up with in my head for a couple of years now, ever since I spent time in Finland, a brilliant country. They have floating saunas, so it'd be a really cool project to build possibly a floating sauna on the lake. So the swimming pool here looks like it's actually got away without having catastrophic damage. You can see obviously the liner that was there to cover the water is completely melted, but that should come off, and hopefully with some work we can bring this pool back to life. So in the summer we've got a really nice place to swim, although I'll probably end up just swimming in the lake, so maybe we'll get rid of this and put a carport there or something, but there's many different options. But actually it looks like it has survived. You can see there's some burnt damage around the edges of it, but it's still holding water, which is pretty impressive. So now I'm walking up a steep incline and I'm going to head up one of the forest tracks into the forest and show you some of the damage that happened up here. But it's quite steep, as you can tell. So I just need to open up this gate, and then you can see some old dog houses where the dogs used to live, and the fire has really come through here. It's just completely decimated it, but hopefully I can clear some of this and then I'll be able to drive the 4x4 up here with any materials that I'm going to be needing to re-establish the fencing all the way up, because all of the fence posts have just burnt to nothing, so the fence is just hanging there. And it's quite a long walk to the top of our property. I'd say from here probably talking another half a kilometre up this mountainside. It's a long way, but it's just incredibly peaceful, quiet, beautiful. Even burnt like this, it feels like I'm meant to be here. It really is a lovely place. So we're just coming up now to another gate, and then I'm going to stop until I get a bit further up so you don't have to hear me breathing constantly. Okay, so coming to the end of the video, and I was actually feeling quite optimistic, quite positive, but I've come further up to the side of the mountain, and obviously there's all the damage from the fire, but the damage from the flood, it's just, there's so much work to be done now, so much. Let me try and explain what's happened. So this is usually a big concrete bowl where the water gets held in a pool just on that plateau over there, and then feeds into this and down into the lake. It's a really nice system, but unfortunately with the flooding there's been a raging torrent that's just brought all of this sand and silt and mud and stone and branches, and you can see there it's broken through the concrete. So there's a lot of work to be done here. I imagine somehow I'm gonna have to try and get a digger up here to dig all of this out and put it somewhere else, because it can't stay like this, otherwise we'll have further problems with water down the line. You can see here all of the reeds that have been swept away from the pool. So there's a big pool up here, and you can see all of this mud and sand and silt. There's massive branches that have been swept down the mountainside. Over here, this pipe is the overflow to the pool. This is usually a really nice green pool with loads of wildlife and greenery that the water then feeds down here into an overflow, this pipe here that's been damaged. Or you can divert it from there to go down into the concrete bowl that I just showed you and feed into the lake. but unfortunately there's no pool left here. I can literally walk on top of what was a big pool of water, huge in fact. So again, some way or another I'm gonna have to try and get a digger up here to dig this all out and re-establish the pool. I just don't even really want to go much higher to see what I find, but it can all be resolved. It can definitely all be resolved, but I can't believe what I'm seeing right now. But anyway, I will head on further up the riverbed. I'm actually quite lost for words. What used to be a really easy walk a week ago up this riverbed has turned into a climb. There's areas taller than me that have completely washed away at the sides, and a lot of it looks quite unsafe, so I'm definitely gonna have to get my hands on a digger. There's a lot of work to be done here. So the 3 water tanks that hold the water for the house are partially melted, so they might need replacing. But I don't know if you can see this here. This fence, I used to have to wedge myself under to walk up here, and now I can just walk under no problem. And you can see to the right there's been some sort of landslide situation. When this flooded, it must have been a raging torrent, because I used to walk up there no problem, and there's no way I can even get up there anymore. So I'm going to find a way around. So I've just run out of battery on my GoPro, so I'm now using my iPhone, and I've found a long way around using a track that's been heavily burnt in the fire. This forest it's just been decimated, completely decimated. But I am wondering whether I can use the burnt trees as maybe building materials to make some structures for maybe the goats and stuff. We'll see. So there's been a small landslide, as you can see here. That's all fallen down. These massive boulders have fallen. This was never like this before. This was actually all covered over and you could walk over it. So I need to get some big boulders and stuff under there to support this tanked area. And before the flood, there was actually a pipe that ran into there, so I need to try and find where that pipe actually goes to. I know the fire melted it in half about 200 meters down, but then I'm gonna have to find the pipe under all the silt and sand and try and backtrace it to the house so that I can fix the problem. But yeah, this has just turned into a crazy lagoon. Before, this was just a normal little riverbed that you'd walk up. So there's some big stones to move and some work to be done. So I'm now down from the mountainside, and I hope you can understand how raw, new and real all of these emotions are. Filming this video today, I'm finding new things that I didn't even know were damaged, that are damaged, and I'm seeing them at the same time as you guys are seeing them. And it's hard to process. I'm a human being with feelings, so please don't forget that. And it's been an incredibly tough time with the fire, then the flooding, and obviously everything that's going on with Bee. She's my soulmate. She's the most beautiful woman in the world, and I really just want her to be happy. And I know you guys want me to talk about what's happened and what's gone on, but it's too raw at the moment. I can't do it without bursting into tears, and she really is just such a kind human being, and all I say is I'm just happy that she's still with us. Thank you to everyone for the support. Thank you to everyone for watching, all the kind comments, and I'll catch you on the next video where I'm going to start some of the cleanup process.